ya que acá han comentado, pero para mí lo más importante, para yo saber, para yo ver a un líder, para yo sentir que es un líder, es que esa persona, que esa persona sea confiable, yo sienta que puedo confiar en él. Si no, para mí no es un líder, porque es que si yo siento que yo no puedo confiar en esa persona, pues ya me está mintiendo. Entonces, para mí lo más importante es confiar en él, tener confianza y sentir que no está diciendo la verdad. Y eso a veces uno puede sentir eso. Entonces, para mí eso es lo más importante.
An example?
Podría ser Patch Adams. Patch Adams?
Okay. Okay. Good. So it's also a matter of personal integrity, right?
Yeah.
Of the person. Okay.
Para mí, bueno, un líder es el que logra que las personas se identifiquen en él, o sea, se vean reflejados en el accionar de él. No es lo mismo una persona que logra inventar algo que una persona que logra que sigan algo, un conjunto de personas. Entonces, el que logra en el colectivo aglutinar todos los intereses, representarlos o hacer que la gente crea que esos intereses son los que los representan, ese es un líder. Podríamos decirlo en lado negativo, un manipulador de masas, en un lado positivo, un representante de las masas. Para mí, ya como ejemplo, en mi país el líder más emblemático para mí es Augusto César Sandino, que su liderazgo permitió inclusive luchar contra los que en ese momento querían adueñarse del país. Y empezó con 20 personas y llegó a ser inclusive un ejército de 20.000 hombres. Entonces, por el que lleva mi nombre también, que era otro líder, Tupac Amaru, por el que a mí me pusieron, se llama José Gabriel Condorcanqui, que es el mismo caso. Decidió oponerse a la conquista española y lo siguieron no porque él tuviera una espada, sino porque no enterraba la espada. Entonces él fue un líder para toda esa gente.
Very good. Excellent. And yes.
Para mí un líder es una persona que tiene la capacidad de influir en los demás y puede ser, vamos a decir, positivo o negativamente. Un ejemplo como el de nuestra compañera, puede ser Hitler. Y bueno, también pienso que dependiendo del contexto, vamos a decir, de los liderados, las personas que siguen a este líder tiene diferentes características, ¿no? Y dependiendo de las organizaciones, ¿no? Por ejemplo, hay líderes que te pueden enseñar cómo llegar a un lugar, hacia una meta, y te puede enseñar a que después tú puedas enseñar a otros, ¿no? Y que se pueda continuar como una cadena. Otros que solamente te acompañan a llegar hacia una meta y ahí puedan terminar, digamos, la visión de por qué están todos juntos. Un ejemplo podría ser, digamos, Hitler en el lado negativo, a Jesús con el ejemplo de que él enseñó algo, llevó vamos a decir, a sus seguidores a un lugar y también enseñó a que ellos continúen difundiendo sus ideas. En el mundo empresarial, por ejemplo, Steve Jobs, ¿no? Ahora pienso que Apple ya no tiene ese liderazgo, porque creo que, o al menos ya no se nota en los medios, ya no tiene esa imagen desde que él ya no está, ¿no? Quizás si lo hubiese, vamos a decir, preparado a otras personas en su corporación, podría seguir manteniendo esa imagen.
Okay, I mean, you made two interesting comments. For you, it was not just to follow, but also the other to be followed by others, am I right? It's kind of a leader which create opportunities for other leaders to emerge. So that's an interesting aspect. Okay, you are the last one, am I right? Because you already mentioned. Yes.
Justamente el otro día comentaba con mis compañeros Y algo que uno de mis compañeros comentó y que me gustó mucho fue que un líder te podía inspirarte a que puedas a creer, que las demás personas crean en lo que tú crees, ¿no? Y como lo dijo mi compañero, yo también pienso que un líder fue Steve Jobs, porque él hizo que la filosofía en la que él creía crean los demás. O sea, los demás lo siguieron y fue tan fuerte lo que hizo, o sea, llegó tanto, tocó los sentimientos de las personas, que al final logró que hacer que este liderazgo le lleve a conseguir las cosas que quiso alcanzar. Y por supuesto, solamente yo también creo que existen diferentes tipos de líderes, ¿no? O sea, también existieron líderes que usaron su poder de influencia para poder lograr, no sé, manipular a las personas para que puedan hacer cosas que son repulsivas para las personas, y también en la parte empresarial y también en otros aspectos.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so we heard very different examples of leaders, reasonably different attributes of leaders, am I right? Among them, kind of we more or less all agree that leader has to have a vision, okay, to know where he's going and where the followers wants to go. Being a charismatic, yes.
Gracias. También hay otro concepto que no necesariamente es,
You have to be close, okay?
que no necesariamente es un líder bueno o un líder malo. Hay algo que podríamos llamar pseudolíderes, personas que aparentemente son líderes y que no llegan a nada. Tal es el caso de muchos pastores, muchas personas de religiones que no son buenos ni malos, sino que simplemente manipulan la mentalidad de la gente para aprovecharse de ellas, podríamos decir pseudoliderazgos también, ¿verdad?
Okay, that's interesting. I never heard that expression, but that's yeah, an interesting thing to bring. There was another hand here or not? No. Okay, okay. Well, sometimes they say that we have now kind of a number of populistic politicians, you know, telling the masses what the masses wants to hear, not necessarily leading them to something which is more realistic and more beneficial, not only short term, but on the long run. And now for the rest of the time we have, we will really try to expand the concept of leadership, try to identify some other features, because there are so many academics who spend time of thinking about leadership, trying to define different type of leadership. And our kind of main objective would be in this kind of exercise which follows is how this conversation, discussion about leadership can help you personally to revisit your business models, your proposals, okay? And also we can look at that in two levels. One is to motivate the people working with you and those who will partner with you. You remember what we said? That you don't need to have everything inside your organization, 2-3 people, but there will be people outside. Your job to motivate local community to join your effort, to be part of conceptualizing the playground, be part of building that. So from the conversation we had on a very high level of government, or in case of Jesus, a little bit broader than a single country, to see whether some of these ideas can give you some additional insight about you personally, and then to see how you connect that with your dream and making the things happen. So leadership is not only, as I said, on that level of abstraction. It's something you have to exercise on the level of your projects. And this is your challenge to figure out how to do that. The other interesting thing, and I will illustrate that, is now if you start from that perspective, that there are specific issues you want to deal with through your leadership skills, you will realize that depending on the issues and how these issues evolve in time, you might change your leadership style. For given circumstances, you might exercise one type of leadership. For other circumstances, another type of leadership, and you are still the same person. So it's not that there's one single dimension of the way how you do the work. And that's even broader, more kind of philosophical thing you might at some point reflect. And this is why you're on this planet. What are you doing here? Maybe you're in a wrong place. And then to put it in a more concrete term, you can say, how I measure my life. How I measure what we are doing. In this kind of trends now, when we try to push everything in terms of money, you know, the more money you make, the more successful you are. The danger of that, I mean, it's all personal choice, of course, is that you simplify who you are. You understand? Money cannot capture, at least for most people, cannot capture the richness of their personality. And it will be personal tragedy for these kinds of people. I'm not generalizing anything. If they are overdriven by just one dimension of what means in terms of why we are here. And at the end of the day, you get very disappointed when you realize you are optimizing something which is not sufficient to capture the richness of you as a person. And that's very challenging thing. When the financial crisis started, what happened with the many people in the top business schools, and this is a real story from Harvard Business School. You know, in Harvard Business School, Harvard Law School, MIT Sloan School, or Wharton, the guys get the job at least one semester before they finish the school. They already signed the contracts with the company, you know, you're done. In the law school, even a year or two before you finish the school, you know, because if you're from these top schools, they are just desperate to get your contract, you know, signature that you will work for them. And then financial crisis hit. Many banks in New York start being closed, you know, Wall Street collapsed, and then the students get a letter saying, well, you know, we love you, we still love you, but we cannot fulfill the contract because we cannot employ you. Now, depending on what you sign, maybe they will give you a few $100s or thousands of dollars to compensate for that, but you can imagine the shock. You go to a top business school and you think everybody will be fighting about you, and then boom, and you are still in the school, and you still own at least $100,000 a loan you took to pay for the tuition. And they, of course, asked one professor from Harvard to give a speech to the students there to tell them it's not all about money, it's also about something else. It was not gold, but it was, you know, this kind of general conversation. So what I'm saying is that this kind of conversation, this kind of reflection, when you're talking about projects, when we were saying expand your way of thinking, it's not just expanding the way of thinking in terms of understanding that big picture, what the market is there, what you offer, but expanding the thinking who you are, but in a more systematic way. That's my point. We can improvise on many things, but to be really successful, we need to improve the base, on the base of which we will do some more creative thinking. So let's spend some time in looking at what others think are different leadership styles, and then on the basis of that, let's try to figure out, does this make sense or not? So we covered this slide. So basically what they are saying here now, we are talking about at the level of an organization, that leadership is kind of taking the organization in the future, am I right? Not to